Hello there, and today we have my very, very good friend Chris Puzey, all the way from Perth, Australia, and we are talking what's it like to invest on the other side of the world. So Chris, you own property in the UK and live literally on the other side of the world in Perth. How did you find that?
To start with, it was good because it was my property that I actually owned in the UK before I emigrated. And then obviously we got tenants in. First tenants were great, couldn't fault. It was a family member, so everything was just, any issues always sorted out, no problems whatsoever. Dealing with family was actually really, really easy. Then when the family member moved on, it was time to get an agent in, and then with getting an agent in, they promise you the world, and they don't always deliver. They meant to vet your tenants, but 9 times out of 10 you don't always get a great tenant. Struggled there.
This is interesting because you hear a lot of property people say do not rent out to family or friends because it's hard to get in the money, and if they're short a month they think, oh, it's family, it'll be alright. So that actually wasn't the case for you.
No, worked in my favour massively, and the house was always immaculate. It was like any rental inspection that was ever done, immaculate. So yeah, I cannot fault that. A lot different to an ad tenant.
Okay, so when you had a tenant with a letting agent, what was the problems you were finding being overseas? And then
it didn't come to head until when we wanted to sell the property, and we sent selling agents around as opposed to agents that are just looking after it for a tenant. Was always told that the house was looked after and presentable, but then when it actually come to selling the house, it was anything but, and we was getting pictures sent through to us of like, we've got to sell it and it's in this condition, what's happened? And then it was a case of the selling agent was the same company as the letting agent, and they was going back and forth on each other because I wasn't getting the truth from the letting agent. And it was always, oh no, he's apologised, he's gonna clean the house up, he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that. And it just never materialised, and it was always a battle to try and make it presentable.
I can understand this when you're not boots on the ground and you're miles away. There could be, your letting agent will push it a bit more because they know you're not going to turn up moaning because you live in Perth. Yeah. So the worst they're going to get is a nasty phone call.
Yeah, that was the case. I had a workman go around there that is actually a personal friend, and he went around to fit a new rear door on the house, and he said, Chris, I think you need to have a word here because there's literally dog shit in the house everywhere. Yeah, so that's when the agent got another call to say, you're going to serve me with an eviction notice because I'm not having this.
Well, because it's going to destroy your property, especially if it's all refurbished and whatever.
It was in a right state, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
So was that the only tenant you had in there whilst you was over in Perth?
Yeah, so I had, as I say, I had a family member that was in it for sort of 2.5 years. And then had the other tenant that was in it for sort of 18 months.
Okay, so you bought property in Perth.
Yep.
How much did you buy that property for, and what's it worth now in what time scale?
So we bought our first property when we moved over in 2018. Got it on December 23rd, 2018. And then we paid $475,000, which was the equivalent of sort of £230,000. Recently been valued at 800,000.
Wow,
so
that's quite an increase in a fairly short amount of time.
Yeah, in just that 4.5 years, it's gone up.
So I've heard Australian property is rocketing up, and that's exactly what you found.
Where we are, because we've got such a mining industry in Perth, it's either boom or bust in Perth. Okay. So you'll find that when the mines are going great, so your iron ore, your lithium, prices are going sky high. We got in at the right time.
So it was low when you bought, and then it's low. Okay.
It was low when we got in, and the agent was a young lady that let it slip that the people have already purchased acreage and were desperate to sell. So I hit them with a low offer, and they took it.
There you go. Sometimes you have to offer low, and you might get it. Worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah.
And that actually really paid off for you then?
Yeah, they said no the first time, because the house was up at, I think, 525 or 530. So I was a bit cheeky and offered the 450.
Oh, nice.
And then just incrementally went up and settled on 475. So
That's a very good investment there then.
got a bargain.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So in Australia, I hear it's very different to in the UK, where when you put an offer on and to completion, I mean, you could be going 3, 4, 5 months. Sometimes we've been 6 months. Sometimes it's going from offer to actually complete, especially in COVID. But it's 28 days from offer to completion in Australia.
Yeah, once accepted, you got 28 days, and that's where my bottom end fell out at one point, because we put an offer in and I didn't quite have the deposit, and they went, okay, so it's going to be a 28 day settlement, and I was like, what? I'm like thinking, no, I'm thinking like 3 months like the UK, and I'll be able to get a sort of another 10 grand in the 3 months.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, 28 days and you settled, but they didn't accept my offer on another house, so I got out of that one.
That just seems so much better to me. It's such a better system that you make an offer and then, yeah, absolutely. Why can you not do it within 28 days? Why does it take so much longer in the UK? They need to up their game massively, yeah.
It just seems they love a paper trail in the UK, and it's the same system in Australia, so all your checks have still got to be done, but they pull their finger out and get it done. And it's like 20 days, no one wants to sit and hang around on a property. Like, it's just a case of solicitors wanted a bit more money, agents wanted a bit more, what can we squeeze out of it? And then you're going to be putting a chain over there. 28 days, it's like, even if you're in a chain, 28 days.
So much better. Yeah. Oh, I love that. So you've owned a investment property over there as well, in Perth. How did you find that?
Pretty straightforward. Again, we was lucky with our agent over there, and it's like full management, it's like 10%. So we kept that property for about a year, and then flipped it and made some money on it.
And how much did you make in a year owning property over there?
Profit?
Yeah, profit.
I think we come out around sort of 50k.
50k, and that's Australian
dollars.
Okay, so in UK money, what is that?
27.
That's not bad, just for owning a property for a
27.
year after all your expenses as well. And I hear now you have a caravan and you rent this caravan out for cash. How does that work? Go on, give us
just the same as Airbnb for caravans, but it's called Camplify. So in Perth, you've never seen so many caravans. Like, everyone's got a caravan, and because it's such an outdoor lifestyle, you constantly you'll see 20, 30 down the road, like, without a shadow of a doubt. And every house you go past, you'll see 50% caravans in the front garden, just waiting to go away. So they're a bit different caravans to what you get here. And
what higher level caravan?
Yeah, and they're not just like, there's like a plastic shed. These are like, really decent high-end metal, semi-off-road, so they can go pretty much anywhere, and totally off-grid with your solar and your AGM batteries, your lithium batteries, because it's such a big industry out there. So bought a caravan, rented it out on Camplify, and it's just another source of income for rental.
How much do you make on that a month?
All depends. We charge $140 per day to hire that out, so roughly around sort of 70 odd quid a day, minimum 4-day hire, and we just go from there. So it's out most months.
It sounds very, very cool. It's a different way of actually sort of having an asset and renting it out, and you can go with your wife and have weekends away when you want and make money when you're not in it. So
it's not as high risk as the house.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, and a return that's probably just on par when it comes to the outlay. Awesome.
Well, Chris, thank you very much, sir,
Thanks
for the interview. And it's very interesting to hear what it's like investing from literally a 20-something hour flight away.
10,000 miles.
10,000 miles. Wow. Yeah. Chris, it's been amazing. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been informative for you.